wifer's got this. Has anybody here met their spouse at work? Anybody met their spouse at work? Was it love at first sight?
Not in the least.
I met my wife at work, but I don't even remember meeting her. But I was a pharmacy intern studying to be a pharmacist. This is when I was in pharmacy school. I had transferred to a new pharmacy, and I was scared stiff. I had heard stories about those veteran pharmacy technicians, much like those veteran, vet techs. You got to be worried about them. And so I'm this young pharmacy intern, and I had heard what they did to young pharmacists. I could only imagine what they did to young pharmacy interns. So my wife swears that we met on that first day, but I don't remember her. But I do wish that I had been a fly on the wall as they had been talking for the weeks leading up, wondering what this intern was going to be like that was coming in from Ann Arbor, the big city, college student. He's coming into a small town drugstore. So I really do wish that I had known a little bit. But my wife and I, we hit it off and we became friends. And they started talking at work and harassing her because she was there 40 hours a week. I came in once or twice a week, and they started harassing her about, Clint and Anissa sitting in a tree, that type of thing, right? And I really do wish that I had been a fly on the wall to hear all of that conversation. But as it went on, she assured everybody that we were just friends. I assured everybody when I was there once or twice a week that we were just friends. And she would call me in my apartment, and she would talk about our just friend state and how much she was getting harassed throughout the week. And it went on for quite some time. I started in July, and this carried on through the rest of the summer into the fall. And my mom came to the town where we were working and decided her home office was there, and decided that she was going to be there for lunch. So I invited Anissa as just friends to go to lunch with my mom and her coworkers. Anissa was scared stiff. I said, "What are you worried about? We're just friends. This is nothing big about this." And she's, "It's your mom." I'm like, "Yeah." And I really do wish that I had been a fly on the wall in the car ride on the way home to hear what my mom thought of my just friend. Later on, about a month or so later, invited her to come to Ann Arbor to go out to dinner and see a movie. Friends can go out to dinner and see a movie, right? Well, as she would tell it, she got home that night and she lived with her grandmother, and she informed her grandmother that she would be marrying me. Unbeknownst to me at this time, because in my mind, we're just friends. And so I kind of wish I would have been a fly on the wall there too, to hear that conversation. I might have been clued in a little bit. I was feeling rather clueless at this point. And so this went on, and we went over to some friend's house and kind of some pre-holiday get-together, and kind of the same thing, just friends. And Christmas was coming up, and I was going to drive to my mom's to spend Christmas Eve there, and I had worked during the day and had to leave work, and so I got to my mom's, and I had to call. She made me call the pharmacy to let her know that I was there and had gotten there safe and sound. And my future sister-in-law, who I had just met for the first time that night, said, "Oh, just friends, huh?" They were engaged, and she goes, "That's how we started too." And I'm like, No, we're just friends. Went out for New Year's Eve, and I took a classmate of mine out for New Year's Eve and was feeling guilty the entire time that I was out with this classmate. Started talking to Anissa the next day, and we were talking about, well, I'd had too much to drink, and well, there might have been some kissing involved, and I don't know where it was going to go, but just kind of felt weird. And she says to me, she says, "Oh, well, I could see us having that conversation someday." Okay. So I decided, well, maybe it's time to stop being just friends. And so we agreed to start dating on January 1st. Well, the pharmacy Valentine's dance was coming up. And so I decided to take her to the Valentine's dance. Now understand, I had dated a classmate of mine for about 2.5 years at this point, and would have loved to have been a fly on the wall as we were at dinner and hear the conversation and then the dance afterwards about who was this outsider that Clint was bringing into the pharmacy school and all of that. So we dated for 52 days before we got engaged. I was going to ask her to marry me on Valentine's Day, but I didn't have enough nerve. So I waited a week and got up the nerve on February 21st to ask her to marry me. Now I did this over stale bread. Yeah, it was stale bread, and I didn't have the guts to actually ask her, and so I wrote it down in a card. And so I had bought bread. Her grandmother that she lived with had big birds, macaws, parrots, and she liked the stale bread. She would feed them the stale bread. And so you want to make good impressions, so you bring stale bread to Granny's house. And so we got there after I'd been at work, and she goes, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you." So, "Oh, let's go put the bread away." She's like, "No, I just want to hug." So, "Let's go put the bread away." And so we're putting the bread away, and I hand her the card. And this was one of those Blue Mountain cards, those nice cards. And so she reads the card and gives me a big hug. And I said, "Okay," and I'm waiting. And she goes, "Oh, I'm just so glad to see you." And I'm like, "Did you read the writing in the card?" And she says, "No, I'll read that later." I'm like, "No! you need to read that now." And so she read it, and yes. And we went down and told her grandmother that we would be getting married. And we did have a longer engagement. We were engaged for 15 months at that point, or before we got married. But yeah, just friends, married. It'll be 31 years now in May. So just friends, though.